Hi, everyone. Welcome to day one of the main event. I cannot tell you how excited our team is, and I've gotten so many notes from all over the country about our first two-day virtual summit. Trust me, we cannot wait for real events come back, but this is the next best thing until we can be together. For those of you who are new, my name is Julie Roth-Novak. I'm the CEO and co-founder of PartySlate. I started the company, I guess, 5 years ago. It seems like a lifetime ago. And my ambition was to have a place where people could get inspired and find new ideas from the best of the best, but more importantly, find the best local event professionals and venues to bring their vision to life. And since over the last 5 years, we have close to 1 million photos, this is crazy, that have been uploaded to PartySlate by over 15,000 event professionals, and many people on this panel, this amazing panel, knew me since the very beginning and have been so supportive, which I really appreciate. This is a crazy journey starting a company. But today, we're kicking off an incredible 2-day conference. The first session that we are having today is about small events and how to make them personalized, big ideas for small celebrations. And without further delay, I want to introduce our incredible panel that I'm so excited about. First, Amy from Amy Katz Events. You are amazing. You've been actually an incredible mentor to me. You've taught me so much. I'm so proud to have you on the panel. I'm going to quickly introduce the panel and have each of you guys talk a little bit about your background. Chioma from Dure Events. I'm such a fan. I think I stalk you on Instagram. You're like, seriously,
too, girl.
Okay, you're amazing. Jennifer Matteo. I think even before I met you, I had heard your name from so many people. You need to meet Jennifer. You need to meet Jennifer. Huge fan of your work. And Akeshi, you really are an icon, not only in Chicago. You're doing mentoring for people all over the country, all over the world. And your workshops. I mean, I went to your first workshop in Chicago. I was like blown away. I can't even talk about it. It's amazing. So let's talk, first of all, let's introduce our panels and then we're going to jump in. Amy, tell us a little bit about your business and how you got started in events.
Well, first I want to say thank you, Julie. Thank you, Julie and PartySlate, for having me today. I am Amy Katz. I'm the owner and founder of Amy Katz Events, a luxury event planning company in New York City. My love for events started 20 years ago when my younger daughter was diagnosed with juvenile diabetes at the age of 21 months. So I wanted to make a difference. I organized, planned, and founded the Carnival for a Cure in New York City for the Diabetes Research Institute Foundation. The first one had over 1,000 attendees there.
Wow.
And from that incredible event, so many attendees came up to me and wanted me to plan their wedding or their child's wedding. My love for the industry blossomed from there. Yeah. And I'm fortunate enough to be blessed with an incredible team that support me, that I work with. And I'm excited to share my ideas with all of you today, pivoting small weddings and events.
It's amazing. And I when I started PartySlate, I was doing these nonprofits, just like you kind of got into it. And the fundraiser, that single night can raise, 80% of your annual budget if you really do it right. And I realized how important that event was to connect them to the cause and to open their wallet, but also come back the following year. So I'm so glad to hear that story. So next, Chioma from Dure Events, tell us a little bit about your background. You in the green room, you were talking about it. It really, touched me. Tell me about how you got.
Oh, you were listening? Yes. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, hello, everybody. And thank you so much, Julie. I'm truly honored to be a part of this set of amazing women that's here. You don't understand how honored I am. And my own background, sincerely, it's just a happy accident, honestly. I'm a perfect example of that person that, when you have to be careful when people speak things into your life and they say that you will not amount to anything because you're weak, you're emotional, you're this. And when you push through hard times and etc. and you excel by God's grace. So I made it, when I got into event planning, actually, I made it a must that Nigerian weddings, African weddings, especially Nigerian weddings, must be seen. Because whenever we go to a lot of places, then we were not allowed to host events at 4 or 5 star properties then. It was quite difficult about 15 or so years ago. And I knew that I had to work extra hard than a lot of people to ensure that our weddings are beautiful, are noticed and appreciated and absolutely gorgeous. So, and with that perseverance, I must say, I mean, yes, I'm based in Houston, but we travel all over the world to do events. Oh my God. And with that, I'm so glad to say that we've been featured on CNN and quite a lot of media, outlets, pretty strong, like BuzzFeed, Cosmopolitan, Vogue, and the rest of them, and New York Times recently. So I am so honored to be here today, and I'm looking forward to getting to know everybody and having an amazing conversation today.
Thank you so much, Chioma. Again, I love your founding story and the types of events you do, and thank you so much for being here. Jennifer from Jennifer Matteo Events, talk to us a little bit about how you got into the industry and your company.
Hi, everybody. Hi. I, first of all, again, wanted to say thank you for inviting me and having me, and having such a great platform for planners and for, couples to come up with creative ideas and be able to really make their wedding super special, which is a huge part of JMEP, Jennifer Matteo Event Planning. Should have said that first, which is my company. I launched about 3 years ago, right after I had my first son, with the reason of I just wanted to be home more, which is kind of funny because I'm home less now than I've ever been. But I've been doing events my whole life, as long as I can remember. My mom always had events at the house. We had dinner parties and just constant entertaining. And so I kind of learned by doing, which I think is kind of how everybody learned that's on the panel today, which is kind of funny. And in my market found that there was, a very big void for someone who planned and styled. There was planners, great planners, but very few planners that do styling too. And styling is actually what my favorite part of it is. At this point, my team pretty much does all of the behind the scenes planning, and I get to do all the fun stuff of picking all the pretty things and thinking outside the box and putting cool stuff together, which is kind of where my education came in. I went to school for graphic design and studio art. So all of our stuff is very artistically driven and thoughtful, and we don't like to do the same thing twice ever. So we try to be really, creative and do things a little differently.
Amazing. I love that combination of creative and design and kind of left and right brain, and planning coming together.
Yeah.
Akeshi. Yeah, Akeshi, that's a good intro to you because I know you think the same way.
Yeah. Oh, hi everyone. My name is
Kesh Events as your company. Yeah.
Kesh Events. I know. All right. So my name is Akeshi. Kesh Events is my business name. That's one of the businesses that I have. But I started off as a planner, just like most of everyone here, similar to Jennifer. I started off as a planner, but it was with my wedding, which I did everything wrong. I have to own it. I messed up big time. That was my biggest lesson. And it really just introduced me to a passion for doing it for other people. I've always hosted parties, little dinners prior to that, which I love to do. But I think just when I did my wedding, it really opened my eyes to what I truly, truly, truly love and I'm good at. I did a lot of things by myself, or like I said, a lot of mistakes. So I started off planning 8+ years ago. Time is flying by so fast. And then I had an itch I noticed like I had a styling design side I never even knew I had. So I started to play around with flowers and explore. And then that's how I started designing. So about a year in, I started designing and doing floral and event design. And so many things have unraveled since then. I love teaching too. So I love giving back to the industry. So I spend half my time educating other wedding pros and coaching and doing all this fun stuff. So it's an exciting journey and just happy to be here. And thank you for having me and sharing our knowledge and our expertise with everyone here.
Great. Well, we have a lot of people from the industry on the call. We had over 1,500 people register, not to get nervous. Not all of them are on this session, but we also have some engaged couples and party hosts joining us as well. So one of the questions just to get the panel started is, since the pandemic hit, we have been able to ebbs and flows, have smaller events, safe, they're held safely, that can still allow these family memories and these milestones to happen. And so, this transition was very emotional for people. We had 5 Party Slate brides, and I watched them, the ups and downs, and my heart, hurts for all of them that were impacted, but also for the industry. How did you guys go through this transition from these large scale weddings that are really stunning and really, I don't want to say over the top, but in a good way, creating these memorable experiences, to these more small, intimate weddings? What were some of the silver lining or advantages of doing the smaller weddings? I always try to look at glass half full, like, there was some advantages. There are some silver linings. And maybe Amy, we'll start with you. What did you see when you made this shift to these smaller events?
Create an intimate atmosphere. What's most important for the bride and groom? It's about the love for them. So host at a place that has meaning for them, maybe a parent's home to do the smaller weddings, or a place that they got engaged at, the bride and groom, or maybe even a vacation home, or where they first met. So when you do it at those type of venues or places that are special to them, it was easier to transition that way.
Yeah, and then you have more storytelling about the place versus a huge ballroom that, of course, doesn't have a connection to their
meaningful to them, and it's special, and it will last a lifetime for them and in their memories. Yeah.
I've been hearing people say, backyard is the new ballroom. It's just really, people never thought they would have something in their backyard, and all of a sudden they're transforming it into something really intimate and special. Chioma, how did you kind of, what silver linings have you found since the pandemic hit with these more intimate events?
Well, the thing about it is, because I focus a lot more on multicultural weddings, and we are known for hosting large weddings. So you can imagine the nightmare, like how my brides were like freaking out. What do I do, Chioma? They say we have to do virtual weddings, and my mom is saying, absolutely not. There's no way at all that I spent all this time going to other people's weddings, because we have this culture where you spray money and dance, and you brought to everybody a show of your multi outfits. And now you're saying I have to do a computer wedding, as they were calling it, but not understanding there's a virtual wedding. So we had to literally go through the process of, number one, getting their psyche, getting them calm, and to have them understand that it's okay to transition this way, to be able to do a virtual wedding, then postpone later on and to have the wedding that you really want to have. So I noticed that virtual weddings became really popular within our community. And so they would do something pretty small and hire a full production company. And I was able to host my very first virtual wedding, a virtual party sometime in September, so that they can see, they want to be able to see how somebody done it, how does it look, do they still look pretty, etc. And then, but communicating with them, informing the guests, because we had to go through a lot of process of RSVPing multiple times. Even those that RSVP, can you RSVP again and again and again to ensure that you are coming? So have this really nice, small, intimate wedding, make it beautiful. And the great thing too is that I noticed that a lot of brokers, actually, homeowners started releasing their homes for weddings. So I partnered up with a couple of real estate agents and brokers to be able to provide their mansions instead of the housing in the market and acquiring a dozen, etc. Why don't you make some money off of it and offer it to couples to be able to do the event at gorgeous mansions for like about a day or two, at the most $5,000 to $10,000 a day. You get to have the whole property. So that way they still have to have that glamorous look that they want, and then prepare to now have the actual traditional and formal wedding postponed to like 2021 and 2022. So I must say it was a pretty easy transition, but we had to get their mind and their family, a lot of family meetings to get them to all calm down to now be able to transition properly.
Yes, I think that the kind of ceremony now, celebrate later. I always tell people that's good for our industry, but also good for you. Like, don't cancel. I always tell people. Jennifer, how did you kind of respond when it first hit? What were your silver linings?
I think after we kind of all got through the, now what are we going to do phase, everyone kind of really did rise up from it and come back with some really cool ideas and ways to do things differently. And I know we took a lot of pride and a lot of time in the details of our weddings. Not that we always don't, but when you have 4 or 5 tubes, over 200 people, it's really, really difficult to every single detail have that, that personal touch. But when you have 40 guests, you can really take time into thinking about what's going to make this event special for Aunt what's going to make this event special for my grandmother? What's going to make this event special? You know, and even if grandmother couldn't come because she couldn't travel because, you know, it just wasn't comfortable, we could send them gifts. We could make them feel a part of it. We can do those things to make it feel really special still. And like you said, do the small wedding now and celebrate later. Or maybe take your deposits that you had for your big wedding. And I have some clients putting them into hopefully a baby shower next year because they're trying to start their families. So, I mean, those little things are really cool and great takeaways from this whole experience.
Yeah, I really think there's going to be more celebrations, more types of celebrations that maybe, you know, maybe you weren't going to have that 50th birthday and now you are going to have it because you want to be together. So, and I also am seeing combinations of, well, the bat mitzvah is being pushed to next year. So it's going to be a graduation mitzvah, a grad mitzvah. So I'm just hoping that, you know, people find reasons to be together and to celebrate. So, Jennifer, or I just talked to Jennifer, Akeshi, what did you feel or experience when this first hit you?
I think like everyone else, we went through a, oh my God moment, right? Shock. And then we kind of like what we talked about, why we started doing this. We had to all like kind of revisit why we do this in the first place. We're made for stuff like this, not what we wished for, but this is what we do. So I think once we got back into that mindset of, okay, how can we deal with the situation and help these clients that we work with? I think it really helped us, for me, understand or really get to know the clients, their why they were getting married in the first place. Because this was beyond the wine, the food. It was really, we were able to kind of dig deep as to what they really want, why they're doing this, who they're doing it for. And now we're able to tailor the experience, because that's always been my goal. And when I'm working with events, big or small, is how can we tailor to the guest experience? How can we elevate? It's not about the number of guests, it's really about the experience. So with the micro weddings, you're able to do more, right? And more detailed, more personalized touches, beautiful locations that you probably wouldn't have thought of before. A less stressful experience, to be honest. But it just required us maneuvering and really getting into the nitty-gritty, the why. I think that was probably the biggest thing for me, why you're getting married. And we're able to really dig deep and then tailor to why they're doing this and who they're doing it for.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think what I've seen, at least with our Party Slate brides, you know, half are kind of like, you know what, I'm going to have that intimate wedding. And that's actually what I wanted to start with. And so it's going to be 30, 40 people. And then the other half are like, I'm going to have a little ceremony, but I want my party. That's probably, to be honest, what camp I would fall in. I want to have my dream wedding. And, you know, it's kind of 50-50. So it's interesting to hear that. But I wanted to ask you guys, when, you know, the vaccine is coming, we've had that first, you know, healthcare workers are getting it, which is, you know, thank God, so exciting that it's coming out. What is your sense, kind of, you know, how these weddings are going to be kind of different in the coming months? We're still going to have social distancing, but there's going to be a little bit more comfort until vaccine is widespread, maybe the summer or, you know, the fall. You know, how do you think these micro weddings are going to be different in the months coming out of you know, kind of this extreme social distancing? Maybe I'll start with you, Chioma.
Okay. Awesome. Well, one quick announcement I do want to tell everybody, in case you don't know yet. I am one of my clients, actually, he's a respiratory doctor that is actually a part of the board in Houston that's a part of developing the vaccine. That's about how the vaccine is going to be distributed. And according to him, because his wedding is supposed to be in March, now he requested that the wedding be moved to July or August, reason being that even if you take the vaccine now, it will not take effect, allegedly, from my understanding, it will not take effect until 6 to 7 months from now. So there's still going to be potential, but however, he does feel that for the fact that you may have the vaccine in your system, there might be a little bit more less scare. People might want to go out, but again, you're not quote unquote 100% protected until you just pretty much become immune to it, like within from 7 months from the moment that you take it. So we have to kind of be mindful of that's when they actually will kick in. So so what I'm noticing is, because people are noticing that vaccines are going to be out, what some of my clients unfortunately are doing, they are requiring that all their guests to get tested at least about 2 to 3 days before their wedding and their party. Then number two, we actually created a system whereby we send them an assessment form where they actually have to fill it out and also sign a waiver, just in case. And then we take every single measure to ensure that temperatures are checked at the door, personalized hand sanitizers and masks created. And even when we create the mask too, it goes with the wedding color, the color scheme, so that when pictures are taken, everything is uniform. So you're not seeing the blue and the white and the, the K95 mask, etc. The ones that look like, I don't, we're gonna talk about that. But they have to take those measures. So we go as far as educating the guests. And then hence the reason why we request for, if you are not able to attend and something happens, we have to keep going over and over again. For the ones that said they are attending the wedding or event, please RSVP again. Will you be able to attend? Or do you want to be virtual? Do you want to be there physically? If you are, here are the things to expect that's going to happen. So I do believe that those measures are still going to be taken even when the vaccine does kick in, until people actually start getting really comfortable with, being and knowing that I know I have the vaccine. I'm not going to die, from it, but I'm still going to quote unquote get a little bit sick, but it's not going to hurt my system. So I don't think it's going to go anywhere, to be honest with you, the measures.
Yep. Amy, what's your perspective on this? And I know you've done a lot of these measures that Chioma was mentioning at your events.
Well, I started doing it in the summer in New Jersey because Jersey was opened up and for outdoor weddings. And I'm having a lot of talks with my brides and grooms right now going forward for after the vaccine is coming in now, is bringing in a COVID testing station. And it's been very successful with me and my brides and grooms. And by doing so, it's a quick test. So you're able to bring it in. And so when the guests drive up, if it's an outdoor venue, I'm going to just bring up my Jersey one. They're able to drive up before they go anywhere else. The car gets pulled away. We have the testing station outside. Depends if the couple or family wants to spend money on a doctor being there. If not, the nurse is there with all their staff. They're testing everyone. Then everyone's standing a little farther away with, some water to drink. It's 15 minutes. That may get down in the coming months. Maybe the quick test will be less than 15 minutes. But it's 15 minutes. Once you get the result, we then hand them a color card. In this wedding that I had, one of the last ones, it was a green card. I had security there, so they were able to go into the wedding knowing that, okay, we're negative. No guests can come in if they're positive. So it makes it easier because then everyone inside knows that they're negative. So if they're comfortable, they don't have to wear a mask, knowing everyone was tested and they could come in.
I hate to ask, but what happens, or has it happened, where someone was positive? And then what do you do?
So the last wedding, no guests were positive, which was fabulous. Some vendors were. So going forward, all vendors are always going to wear masks. My staff and I, we wear our masks, and the caterer is going to wear the mask. Bands are a different entity. You can put the shields up for the singers to sing, but maybe the drummer will wear the mask. But anyway, what happens, to go back to your question, is it's a privacy act. So we can't say, oh, so-and-so was positive. So the doctor, the nurse, or the staff will go to that person. You were positive. We're not going to make an announcement. No one's going to know. And, we would like you to leave. Here's the form. We can't have you come in when you're positive. Again, nobody knows. The bride and groom will know when that they didn't attend or show up. But they unfortunately are asked to kindly leave.
Yep. Wow, it's crazy world we're living in, but it's exciting that we have these options. Akeshi, what about you? What are you predicting kind of will in the coming months?
I think we have a long road ahead of us, honestly. We would like it to be over quickly, but it's a process. And I think that just like every planner is always thinking safety. Yes, we want to throw a big party. Yes, we want it to be pretty, but then we want to be alive in the end, right? Because it's vendors, guests, and the couples, because we've heard some horror stories. So I think safety first. So even this pandemic really, I think, was a reminder of the basic things we were not doing. It's amazing how washing your hands was a big thing, right? But I think some measures we should keep. I'm not sure what and how that's going to work. I love the rapid testing, and I think that was a great thing to add for those that really wanted to have the celebrations. But I think that we're going to have to be patient and really pay attention to things as they evolve, and then we'll make adjustments. There's no schedule, there's no timeline, unfortunately. We've been doing the waiting game like everybody else, and we adjust as we know more when there's something new. But I think, right, jump like saying there's a vaccine, so off with the mask, like Chioma said, it's going to be a while. We don't even have all the facts. So like we're very transparent with our clients and say, I don't know, but we're on it. We're keeping an eye. When you be the first person to know once we confirm, because there's a lot of false information out there, and we don't want to spread it anymore. But I think safety first, just reiterating to everyone, the couples too, saying, I know you want to have this big wedding, but for the safety of your grandmother and your parents and yourselves and us, let's take these measures and put money in the right places to make sure the safety is first.
I agree 100%. And I do think some of these, safety precautions will continue for a long time, even after the pandemic. So Jennifer, did I skip you? I'm sorry. Tell me about your thoughts on micro weddings and safety, kind of in that tweener phase, like before we're back to normal, but after.
For sure. So we are located in Florida. So our climate here, both temperature wise and COVID related, is a little bit different than a lot of the country. We are pretty much open, if you would say that. So our regulations are a lot less stringent than what a lot of the country is seeing. That being said, we are a huge destination location for weddings as well. So we have people coming in from international locations when we were not in COVID times. Right now, we're doing a lot of last minute weddings, people flying into Florida because they want to get married. And we have so many outside locations. And right now the weather is beautiful here. So we're still taking all the precautions. We're still having sanitation stations. We are providing masks. They're not required here, but if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. Obviously, our staff, vendors, everybody is masking. We're all taking on the necessary precautions. But I will say that during the events, our 40, 50 person events, everyone is still celebrating. If you want to wear a mask, great. If you don't want to wear a mask, that's fine. But in the end, the couple's married, everybody, we're dancing. We can dance here. It's just a little bit different of an approach than a lot of the country. I have thankfully can say that we've probably done 15 or 20 events since all of this started, and we have been open, and we have had 0 outbreaks, 0 cases, 0 feedback from anybody saying anything about positivity. And it is just because of the little things like Akeshi said, wash your hands, sanitize, just, keep a little bit of distance between each other. Another thing that we've kind of put into place is bands. So we have different color bands that we suggest for our guests to wear for comfort levels, because, some people may be okay with giving a hug to somebody they haven't seen in a year, and maybe you're not. So without having that weird conversation of like, can I hug you? What are we doing? We just have the colored bands that it makes it easy. It doesn't have to be a conversation or a focus of the day, but we're thinking about it.
I think that's good, especially after people have a couple drinks, having those bands as reminders, because, people do get a little looser after they, the night goes on. And, I was at a 40th birthday party, and then, someone hugged me at the end of the night, and I'm like, I was so careful. And I'm like, oh, I wish I would have had one of those little red signs. I'm not, super careful. I'll do the elbow, but I am not hugging at this time. I think I'll wait till vaccine. So the next question I have for everyone, thank you guys for sharing that. I think we're all really, curious to see. We're going to have, it's a little bit of a waiting game to see how things play out, but I think, all the precautions are going to continue for quite some time. Doing these more intimate events, I'm going to brag a little and share some of your profile pages, and we're going to look at a couple of events, but what are some things to make these events feel more personalized? And you talked about venue selection. You talked about a few things. I'm going to share my screen really quickly, and we can, hold on, take a look at some events that you guys have done. So Amy, I'm going to brag about your profile because it looks so stunning. Your events are beautiful. We're scrolling down, and you've taken advantage of a lot of our announcements feature that we just launched and testimonials. It's absolutely beautiful. I could look at this all day, but I know we don't have all day. So I'm just going to dig into the first event. This was the one you mentioned that in New Jersey that you had. Can you talk us through this event and some of the details that really made this personalized and special?
So this was at Park Chateau. Birch Events designed this beautiful wedding and everything was outdoors. You see a staircase inside, but no guests went inside here. Everything was outdoors at this wedding, and the pictures are from Brett Matthews, which are stunning. And we did a lot of personalization for this wedding, which we're going to get to. Well, this was a modern Orthodox wedding, and we had a bedekin and a tish. We brought the little umbrellas there. We had programs. We had the Polaroid.
Oh, I love the outdoor game.
Pardon me?
I love these outdoor games.
So yeah, so we personalized. Thank you. So these are lawn games, and they were customized and personalized with their names on. The bride was Esther, and her name was on there, and we put their logo on the game, lawn games. As was mentioned before, personalized masks, hand sanitizers. We just try to personalize everything and make it special and unique. And all these little touches just made this beautiful wedding and just look to die for. And
I love Amy, how you have a lot of tables for 2 and 4 and that are really spread out. Obviously that wouldn't be the way we would have it, in normal times, but they're just so intimate and beautiful.
We want to make it safe, COVID safe, and at the same time beautiful and stunning. And there's your COVID testing station right there with the see. So that's what I was talking about before. So here's a COVID testing station. Guests were behind that, and everyone was socially distanced. But having the tables of 2 and having the tables of 6 or 8, we didn't have more than 8. The way we had sparklers there at the end of the night. Which was absolutely
you can see how the tables are spread out. It's just
very
beautiful.
Spread out, and the guests could dance at the tables if they didn't want to dance on the dance floor. And it was really a sensational, detailed, beautiful party.
Beautiful. I love this one. I know we've included this in some articles about these, safe events. It's just beautiful. Jennifer, I'm going to turn to you. Oh my God, I want to be on that beach right now. Beautiful.
I would too. I don't know the last time I've gone to the beach when it wasn't wedding related, to be honest.
Yeah, I know. Well, I have to say, I'm going to Florida for a week. We're doing renting a house. We've never used Airbnb before, just to get out of it's snowing today in Chicago. Just so you guys know, I need to get out of Chicago.
Calm down. Beautiful here.
I'm coming. So talk us through, some of your intimate events. I love this. A velvet wedding. There's something about velvet that I just love. This is just beautiful.
So
you want to talk through the details?
Absolutely. This was a really, really special wedding for me. I mean, we love all of our brides and grooms, but Casey, who is the bride, is she's a force to be reckoned with. She's this amazing. She's a very well-accomplished Harvard graduate, very, very smart girl who had to postpone her wedding. She was supposed to get married in May and trusted us to move everything for her like we did for so many people. And I'm sure all the planners who are on can feel that pain as well of what that was like. But she honestly was one of those brides who we joke that we say, you don't even know what you're getting for your wedding. She really did not. She had no idea what we were doing, what we were planning, because she was too busy in her life to really, I don't want to say care because that's the wrong word, but she knew her color palette. She trusted us to execute, and we so happily did. And when they could have their wedding, 3 days before,
oh my God,
it was just gorgeous. 3 days before, they got married outside in, when did they do it? October. And it was at a venue called Historic Spanish Point, and it's just beautiful. Old Florida oak trees everywhere, and the lighting was magical, and it was just super cool. But anyway, so 3 days before her wedding, there was an outbreak in one of the cities that a lot of her family and friends live in, and all of them canceled because they didn't feel comfortable coming because they weren't sure if they were going to be positive, and we didn't have the quick testing in October. So probably 40 or 50 guests canceled within 3 days. And from that, she wanted to bring a virtual aspect into her wedding. So we pivoted, as we're supposed to these days, and brought an AV company in to have a screen show all these well wishes from everybody who couldn't come, and just sending videos and well wishes and speeches and just funny stories. And it's probably one of my favorite memories of this whole COVID experience, that the people couldn't come, but still wanted to be a part of it. And I actually just yesterday got the sweetest note from Casey thanking me for everything, thanking the team for everything. And she's elated. And we're actually planning her sister's wedding for next year at Selby Gardens here in Sarasota. So,
That's so nice. And I love seeing the water in the background and all the details. And again, this is just a good example of this could have been a large ballroom wedding, and to create this intimate, beautiful experience is just stunning. So thank you for sharing that one. Is there anything else, Jennifer, you want me to take a look at? I know you put together some ideas, an idea slate with some of the intimate details here.
Sure. Let me buzz through really quickly. So we're big on, invitations and flat lays are a big thing for me, and details to begin with, just because of my background in graphic design. I feel like those little choices can make a big difference in what you're doing. And COVID related to that, you can do some really cool stationery stuff. So we have brides, I don't have any examples of them now because they're currently being printed, but you can do some really beautiful things with customized boxes and little custom notes, and, saying that, oh, sorry, you can't be there, but here's, a box for you to enjoy our wedding. And maybe it's in Sarasota, we're known for citrus fruits and oranges and, all of the Florida state things. And people have been sending that kind of stuff to their guests who haven't been able to make it, just to kind of make them feel a little bit more like they're able to be a part of it. Because unfortunately, a lot of the people who can't be and travel right now are grandparents and people who are very, very important to you. So why not surprise grandma with some special gift the day of your wedding, just letting her know that you understand why she's not there, but she's there in spirit. And you can do that with stationery. You can do that with a handwritten note. You can do that in a lot of different ways. But I do think that those little details and those thoughts kind of go a long way in people's hearts, for sure, because the people who aren't coming don't want to not come. They want to be there.
Right.
And it's a really hard.
It's so nice to have something that shows, I wish you were here, and, please enjoy it virtually with us. I think that's so nice. I love all your details, Jennifer. I know we're running out of time, and I also want to tell our audience, anyone who has questions right after this, please ask your questions. And I know some of you have already given us a shout out where you're zooming in or calling in from. We always like to hear where people are coming in from. So please feel free to share that in the chat. Akeshi, I recently, first of all, love your event, and your centerpieces and tablescapes are just so stunning. I would love for you to walk us through this incredible engagement that you created in California. I was blown away by this. I kept looking at it on social media. I know we featured it on our Instagram, and it blew up. Walk us through this little intimate celebration.
Small but big, yes. So, so this was it was super sweet. But he reached out. This was in San Diego in La Jolla. So he bought this property. They bought this property together, and he wanted to get married there, propose there. So this was just land, by the way. Terrified. We literally went to Home Depot and bought every repellent possible for anything. It's on a hill facing the view is amazing, but there were a lot of logistics. There was no power, there was no water, but that's where he wanted to propose. So we flew down, did a tour, and then from his description of her, we were able to what she liked. She liked Italian food, so we had Italian chef. All the wine was specifically what she liked, what they liked to drink. They had dinner with 2 other guests. So it was a dinner for 4, and it was that dark. So it was 2 generators, and a bunch of tiki torches and a lot of stuff burning. But this was very, very personalized. And I mean that down to the color of the napkin. It was about them, what they loved. We had a stylist style them for their outfit. And everything was all about her. And he was just the biggest romantic and wanted to do something really spectacular that we haven't seen in a while. So there was, and we had to get her there. We just told her that we're doing a shoot for Art Digest. And that was the way to get her there. And her eyes were closed. So you can see the floors were not even. So we had to slowly walk her down. And it was just magical after sunset. And of course, she was running late. So he was like, how did you be late today? She's going to miss a proposal. But the experience is what we kind of bring into the event, how we can do something unique, right? And like Jennifer, not do it again. So that's the beauty of our job, is to keep pushing the envelope a little bit more and getting more and more creative. But when we talk about small but impactful, you don't need 300 people to make a statement. And you don't need and you don't have to lose all the lush elements as well. So you can still have that luxury event, all the beautiful flowers and all the things you dream of with a smaller experience. To be honest, you have more time and you're able to do more with a smaller group. We're more intimate. So if you have 300 guests, but now you have 50, you're able to really make it personalized. Every single thing was personalized, and it was just magical. We were there, but sometimes I look at the pictures, I'm like, were we actually there? That's what
it almost seems like a dream, Akeshi. It's like a dreamscape. It's just beautiful.
Yeah, so we brought in generators and everything, and it was truly magical. And they had dinner. The chef had a completely tailored course. It was a very long dinner too, because we were like, come on. Well, and then it got really dark, but it just goes to show, like, in terms of small but big details, and really we're able to perfect it to the best of our ability, because nothing is ever truly perfect. But we're able to take what we do, what we know, and add those personalized touches that are timeless and memorable. So, and that should be the case, whether it's a micro wedding, even for a larger wedding. I always say, like, can we shrink the guest list sometimes so we can do more of this? And so this would be more impactful, or have a statement piece. So something that is unforgettable, right? Even if we have to stretch out other things. But, you can personalize so many things, like your napkins. And I love custom boxes. I love treats. I love little surprises here and there.
And I know we had a panel last week about, Instagrammable moments and creating these. And of course, you're not doing it for Instagram, but I will say, especially for corporations and companies, we have, about half of our content is corporate event and non-wedding on Party Slate. There's moments like this that you can create that really bring people into the message you're sending, that are just so stunning. And I will remind people, since we do have some brides and grooms on, you can easily save anything you love to an idea slate and come back to it later. So I want to save this one. Now let's go to Dure events. Let's go to Chioma. Your profile is also beautiful. Again, I've been stalking you on Instagram. Talk me through kind of some of your events that you've posted. Anything you want to share?
Let's go to my Paris wedding, the romantic Parisian wedding at the Plaza Athénée in France, Paris, France. So this wedding is actually a wedding for just two, two of them. They decided, like, maybe like about 30 days before their actual wedding date in Houston. She decided that, you know what, I don't see myself doing a 200 people wedding. I just want it to be really intimate, just about myself and Jide. This is Funke and Jide Agumbiade. And she told me, Chioma, find a hotel that you fits that style. And I felt like the Plaza Athénée was just the perfect location for their wedding. So we're able to go to get one of their suites and completely transform it to just a dinner for just the two of them. And the beautiful thing about it is that the photographer, they had like about 2 to 3 days all to themselves, where they were able to explore Paris and have dinner at the Eiffel Tower and have like a little boat ride, etc., for just the two of them. And on their wedding day, they did the first look on the lawn, so at the courtyard of the Plaza Athénée. And from there, they first went ahead and toured around Paris to get more photos before they went to the chapel for a ceremony. And when they came back, they were able to have their menu cards were actually personalized. Like, the menu card was actually their charger. So it was a custom charger that actually had the menu, and their vows were already printed on an acrylic plate in front of them. So that was like as if they're talking to one another while they were having dinner. And
is this the one of the photos you mentioned, the first look, or is this here?
Yes, this was one of the first looks. They had the first look at the courtyard, and then they're now transitioned over to the what's the name of this called? It's like a shopping center right in front of Dure, and that's where they took additional photos.
Oh my God! And look at this. Is that the Louvre here?
Yes.
These photos are stunning. And again, this type of intimate celebration would never have happened had it not been for COVID. So I think silver linings is that, they will never, ever forget this incredible experience. Never. So I am going to come back here and stop sharing my screen. Back to and again, please, from the group, if anyone has questions for our incredible audience, feel free to ask them right in the chat, in the public chat. So let me ask the next question. And I know we're running out of time here, but we have about 15 more minutes. How have multicultural weddings kind of handled the transition from large weddings to these smaller events? And I know Chioma, you touched on this before, but tell me a little bit about that transition.
Well, I would have to be quite honest with you, it was difficult trying to convince a lot of our couples to tailor down a bit because we believe that especially with Nigerian weddings, we believe that weddings are for not just only for the couple, but they're also for the family, the parents, and everybody is involved, are involved. As I mentioned earlier, it's very difficult for them to, how is it that I can have a wedding and everybody don't have the chance to see us get married? And I remember when I mentioned to quite a few of the mothers for my couple that we have to tailor down and we have to transition to virtual. And they had the biggest fit in the world. And they were like, Chioma, you tell me that I'm going to have a computer. My daughter's going to have a computer wedding. That's how they say. And I'm like, no, it's going to be a virtual wedding, mommy. They will still get a chance to see everything. So like I said before, we had to sit down and have a serious family meeting with practically all of our clients for them to understand, like, this is how things are going to be happening from now. I want to make sure that you and your family are safe. And you also want to make sure that everybody will get a chance to come back and see your wedding. So we had to convince them to consider doing a small wedding while everybody else can go live and watch it virtually. Again, like I mentioned before, and I was really inspired by Party Slate when you did a virtual wedding, a virtual session, and with the whole production in the background, etc. So I learned a lot from that, and I was able to implement it for the wedding.
Me so happy.
Yeah, I learned a lot, and I actually forwarded the link to a lot of my cinematographers and also production companies. So one that had never done it before was actually able to learn a lot from that, and we learned together, and we were able to produce our very first virtual event so that way everybody else international can be able to watch it. DJ was plugging, everybody was dancing both physically and also in person and also virtually. And like I mentioned before, sending out a lot of information letter, making sure that all the guests understand that we have to postpone the wedding, and once the new date is here, we'll let them know. And to have the micro wedding and then prepare for later on to now have a big traditional wedding or a big formal wedding later on, where you get to wear all your beautiful outfits and look, everybody are doing it. You can get it done as well too, and it will still be nice and elegant. And they've really been doing a great job accepting the new normal and making peace with it and definitely preparing. So that's why quite a lot of my big production weddings decided to move their wedding. They don't want to compromise on anything. Chioma, I want to be safe. I want to be able to have a wonderful time. Let's push it to 2021. Let's push it to 2022 so that we can thoroughly and properly plan to ensure that everything is done properly. So they've been doing a great job accepting it nowadays. So yeah, just a lot of education, a lot of communication is needed, letting them know how the safety measures you're going to be taking. A lot of international flights, because immigration is an issue right now. Some people being able to get their visas to be able to enter back into the country, keeping up with the INS lawyer to ensure that what are the rules, what's going on, can my family come in, who's allowed, who's not allowed. So we are staying on top of our attorneys, and then also our clients that are medical doctors that are able to educate us as to what are the next steps that we need to take. And we definitely transfer those knowledge and those information to our clients. So we have to talk to them a lot more now than ever to let them know that we are on their side and we are going through this together. They're not alone.
Yeah.
So
there is a lot of emotional conversations. I think people are more accepting now. I think it was such a shock at the beginning, but now I think it's less of like the shock and awe and more about, like, you know, a lot of people in the have been asking the panel questions about what is your advice for summer 2021 wedding planning. There's a couple of people there that have asked about that. And then another question someone's asked is, and again, this one gets a little tricky, but how do you react to peers that you have that are not following the guidelines? And I think that's always a tough question to answer because number one, the rules are so different state to state, but number two, you know, do you want to be the one, you know, turning someone in, or, you know, what is the correct response if you see people not following that? So Jennifer, maybe I'll turn it over to you first about advice kind of for, you know, or anything else you want to comment on the multicultural as well. But summer 2021, what advice would you have for both people planning weddings on the professional side and also, you know, to brides and grooms?
For sure. Absolutely. And I did see another question that popped through about somebody asking for venues in cities that are not allowing events for the foreseeable future, how would you recommend keeping potential clients engaged? I've been doing a lot of partnering with planners in other cities, a lot of it. Just having a they're planning with the client there, we're planning with the client here, and we have a really symbiotic relationship to get them married now. If they want to get married now and they're cool to travel, we can make it happen. We've gotten quite good at doing a lot of planning without meeting the couple, because people are planning a lot here in a very short period of time, because maybe I have a couple right now who had to postpone their wedding 4 times in California. Mm-hmm. She called me last week and was like, I'm not doing this anymore. We're coming to Florida. We're doing it. Can you help me? Mm-hmm. And they're elated to know that there is somebody that can help them. And we're partnering with the planner they were working with previously as well, because they already have a lot of stuff in place. They already have their vision. They already know what they want. So to alleviate the stress in making them go through it again, and making all the decisions again, I'm just dealing with the planner directly and making it happen in a different location. It might look a little different, but it's still going to be beautiful and be, in the end, they're going to be married. So I just saw that pop through and thought that was kind of important to relay to planners who are in cities that are not able to have events. And in regards to summer 2021, it's going to be different for us. Usually, historically, May through September is our slow season, which is completely opposite of most of the country, just because it's so stinking hot here. Nobody wants to get married. Yeah. But now we are going to be busier than ever this coming summer, because we don't have enough weekends for the amount of people that are postponing. So I have Tuesday, Thursday, Friday weddings. I have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday weddings. I mean, they're all over the road.
There's rules have changed.
Exactly. There's new rules. Everybody's just making it happen. Yeah. And we're happy to help. It's going to be a different looking summer for everybody for one reason or another. We're going to be busier than most years in the past, which is great. But it also has to, for us, we have to think about things like, it's going to rain. It's going to rain. It rains here every day from May until September. It might rain for 5 minutes, but it rains right about 4:00 every day, just because of the climate that we're in. So that's something that we have to think about. It's not great. You want a beach wedding in June, it's going to rain. So you have to make sure you have a time that makes sense. So it's a whole thing. But that's why, we're here to help you with all of the ins and outs, all the couples out there who are listening.
Great. And Akeshi, how about you? What advice for kind of summer weddings? We know Chicago summer weddings are huge because that's a really nice time of the year.
I think, first and foremost, just like we learned, flexibility. Yeah. It's not business as usual. It's this idea of a Saturday wedding may not be, or even at the venue that you like. So it's just being, I think once you get past the emotional, then we go into reality and say, well, because we're truth tellers, right? We'll tell you nicely what is happening, and you kind of have to work with us. So there's got to be flexibility from the client side to really like, okay, this is not your dream, but we can still make it beautiful and impactful and romantic and all these things. And you're going to forget the initial wants. But I think first and foremost, flexibility too, like Jennifer said, utilizing our industry even more and collaborating. There are options. We just have to start tapping into our community more and seeing what other options are out there beyond, like I would think outside of Chicago, what else is there? What's in Michigan? What's in Milwaukee? What's around me? So, we actually a few weeks ago took a trip to this Greencrest Manor. It's in Michigan. Stunning. I don't even think you would know about it. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's great for micro wedding. And it's like, it just takes you to France. But it's just a gem that I probably wouldn't have found out if we weren't talking through these things right now. So I think taking these trips and exploring what's out there safely and carefully and really, really collaborating.
Yes.
And so Jennifer, you've probably seen me in Florida. But there are options out there. We just have to kind of tap into our network more and do more.
Yeah. And Amy, what about you?
Outdoor weddings now. Make it just outdoors. It could be a venue like we looked at one of my that you showed before. It could be a barn that's outdoors. Barns are just beautiful. It's romantic. You could have an outdoor wedding on a lake. You can, a pond, a waterfall, anything with a scenic view. It's safe. Outdoors is safe. Anything that has an enchanting landscape. It's just mountains, hills. You can find it. I'm in New York. I do weddings, produce weddings all over the country. But anyone that's in New York, we're running to Jersey. We're running to upstate New York, going to Pennsylvania, going to the Catskills, finding a place that is just it doesn't matter if it's a venue. Again, you could find the landscaping, and just producing the weddings that are outdoors is the way to do it. Make it a wow factor.
Definitely. Yeah, so we are actually running low on time, and I know we've had a few more questions. But before we wrap up the session, I would love to, if each of you could share, a silver lining, a lesson learned going through this. I am so impressed with how the industry and all of you have stepped up to help people through this journey and find solutions and let them, really live at least a part of their dream or a new dream that they hadn't envisioned before. Any silver linings or lesson learned? Let's start with you, Akeshi, and we'll go around.
Have a plan A through Z. I think, again, just utilizing our network more. I think that was for me with all of it. It's like we're able to really nurture each other and embrace each other, encourage each other, and bounce ideas of each other too. So I think for me, that was what I took out of 2020, just preparing for anything and keep moving forward. Just keep going, moving forward, make your adjustments, but keep going.
Definitely. Amazing. Amy, how about you?
Reassuring and comforting all the brides and grooms that are out there. It's not about the size of your wedding. It's about your family, your friends, all that attend, for your love, the warmth, and intimacy that you and your guests will experience on your momentous celebration.
Yeah. Stay focused on the purpose and the reason you're there and what's important to you. Chioma, how about you? So many lessons learned and silver linings.
Yeah, one of the biggest things is mental health is a big deal. It's really a big deal. And I would sincerely encourage everyone. One of the things that I learned is to find a peace within the storm. No matter what is going on, find peace in every single situation, because in those calm moments, you're able to make wise decisions. And then secondly, educating myself. I've spent time to educate myself, even outside of the industry, partner up with and join different conferences that absolutely have nothing to do with the wedding industry, from the health to engineering to real estate, etc. Just really educating myself to see how other people are handling this situation. And then if you have, and I just saw a comment earlier, please talk to your health professionals and get proper educated when it comes down to the vaccine. They're like Kesh said before, there's so many different information out there. So you want to make sure that you talk to your health professionals to ensure okay, when I take this vaccine, when is it going to kick in? When can I step out? Except so that way you're able to, because the more information you know, you're able to process it and make peace with the moment. So I'm really big on finding peace in every single situation, so that way you can be calm for everybody else that are going crazy, because when you're calm, they will be calm. So you cannot be all over the place in these times and for the rest of your life, to be honest with you. So that's my motto.
Yeah. I mean, some people ask me, obviously being, starting Party Slate, I'm in the middle of the industry, do I need an event planner? I've planned all these corporate events, and I'm like, listen, trust me, do you want to enjoy your event? And do you want to live in the moment? You need an event planner. And so Party Slate as a whole, we can't say enough how the importance of an event planner that can help you through all these decisions. Not even before COVID, there's 1,000 decisions to be made. That's like saying, do you need a general contractor for building a house? Yes, you need that. And they're going to help you get there. So I thank you for sharing that, Chioma. Jennifer, any silver linings, lessons learned that you can share?
So many of both. Honestly, I really feel like the biggest thing that I have learned personally, professionally, is that leaning on each other and trusting in humanity and trusting in the goodness of everybody has really come to the surface so much. I mean, we had, hotels that went from, are we working with regularly? We know the staff inside and outside. You can text them if you have a question, to being furloughed for 6 months or losing their positions, and somebody stepping into the position that doesn't know what they're doing and needing to lean on you as the planner of okay, well, what did they have in place before? The BEO says this, but what were the conversations? What are the notes that you have for this? The amount of conversation that needed to be opened up between us and our vendors, especially the venues, I would say, was huge. Yeah. So just that need to have that conversation and the trust that you have to have in the people you're working with is huge, always. Yeah. But especially when you're like Akeshi said, going to plan C, maybe D, E, or F throughout all of this, it's really great to surround yourself more so than ever with people who are genuinely wanting to help your couples and caring about your couples and doing everything for the right reasons, which is why I love all my vendors and my couples, of course, so much. But I surround myself with vendors who I like as people, as well as professionally, because it's when stuff like this happens, it's nice to be able to rely on them for more than just, here's a contract. Somebody who calls and says, hey, how's this bride doing? Or how's this doing? Or how are you doing, Jen?
my executive producer, which is Kylie, says we are out of time. And I just want to thank this incredible panel. You guys are amazing. And Chioma, thank you for sharing that you learned from our webinar. That means so much to me. Our next session is with high-profile virtual event experts, and I'm so excited for that. So we're going to continue the conversation in 1 minute, and then after that, the one and only Mindy Weiss we will be interviewing. So thank you to my panel. I love you guys. Sharing everything.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.